Assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope all is well at your end and enjoying your life. Hopefully you have gone through the first lecture of organizational design and organizational structure, and then the sources of that and structures and importance of the structures. Uh, in today's lesson we will be talking about types of organizational structure and the impact of organizational structures on individuals and group behavior. So we begin it in the name of Lord, the ever benevolent and the ever sustainer. An organization, as we discussed in earlier, that is a group of people who work together in order to achieve a common goal, a specific goal, a one goal. People belong to organizations for lots of different reasons. Some people belong to organizations in order to learn new things. Members of other types of organizations get together for recreation, for sports, for many purposes, and many people join organizations to earn money, to earn income. And we discussed also the definition of organizational structure, that it is the grouping of people to accomplish an activity, to accomplish a work, to accomplish a task. Organization structure establishes relationships among a business manager and workers, giving them authority to carry out the responsibilities and duties assigned to them. Grouping people together in a certain way elicits or it prevents specific behaviors. So knowing how each structure will shape employee behavior that helps the small business owner to choose the one that produces the best work culture for accomplishing his or her strategic goals. Uh, Although there are many different types of organization, there is one thing in common in every organization, and that is structure. Every organization must have structure in order to define roles and clarify relationship between the members, the organizational members exactly. So everyone knows that what is expected of them and what is expected from them indeed. Different organizations use different types of structures in order to effectively and efficiently reach their objectives and goals. The strategy an organization uses to achieve these goals, the technology that is used, the size the organization uses, and that all influence which type of structure best suits each individual organization. So determining which structure works best for the organization as a whole is the goal of organizational design. But how does the application of different structural design components affect the behavior of members of an organization? So we will discuss uh, these designs and the behaviors at the end. Mostly there are three designs and structures that are used by the organization in now time, and they can be simple structure, they can be functional structure and divisional structure. Simple structure can be called flat structure. uh, a simple structure tends to be flat, meaning that it doesn't have a lot of managers. This approach consists of a lot of employees and single boss, one boss, or perhaps we call it one level of managers. This work well for small businesses that is operating in one location and depend on the owner of the direction. The business owner can be very hands-on with the approach because he has direct access to all employees. Every worker can usually perform many or all of the business's necessary activities to make the company flexible and adaptable. Uh, Next is functional structure. Functional structure means that if a company has self-contained departments that have many employees who require an overseeing manager or executive structure may work, uh, then we call it functional structure. For example, a company can be organized into the functions of human resource, accounting department, of manufacturing, sales, and production according to the function. If human resources function, accounting function, manufacturing is a function, sales and production is a function. So each of these department has its own sorry uh, each of the department has its own standards and procedures that is going on and running, and the manager of the department reports to the head of the company. Next is divisional structure. Divisional structure means that a company that has divisions that operate autonomously, freedomly, that may set these units up so that they operate like businesses within the business. Business within the business means departments, division, it's divided. Each has a manager who reports to the chief executive officer, and the division sets its own procedures and standards, and even may have its own marketing department, shipping department, and other departments that exist elsewhere in the company. Uh, Divisional structure means that when a company has disparate client categories that can be product lines or according to the locations, so it makes sense to divide employees into groups dedicated to a single concern. Doing this naturally decentralizes power, as each division has power over its particular concern. So every division has power over his or her particular uh, group. So each division operates as a small business unit, and the manager responds by learning to behave like a leader. So this is called functional structure. Plant manager, then manager engineering, manager accounting, manager information system (MIS), manager human resource (HRM), manager purchasing. These are called functional structures. Then we have divisional structure. Look, president is on the top. Then we have three presidents. Vice president for fuels, who is responsible. The fuels, there are three departments: fuels, lubricants and waxes, and then chemicals. Look, three departments, and three different departments have their own marketing, planning and economics, supply and distribution, manufacturing. For lubricant and waxes, there is marketing, planning and economics, supply and distribution, manufacturing. And for the chemicals, we do have the own parts division that can be marketing, planning, and economics, supply and distribution, and manufacturing. We come to bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is one of the most common frameworks for thinking about the issues. Is called bureaucratic model. It was developed by Max Weber in the 19th century, who was a sociologist. Weber's central assumption was that organizations will find efficiencies when they divide the duties of labor, allow people to specialize, and create structure for coordinating their differentiated efforts, usually within a hierarchy of responsibility. Um, Max Weber proposed five elements of bureaucracy that serves as a foundation for determining appropriate structure, and the five elements are specialization. We talked about it yesterday. Command and control, span of control, centralization, and formalization. We've focused it on yesterday. So bureaucracy is the highly routine operating task that is achieved through specialization, work specialization. There is formal rules and regulations. It is centralized authority, narrow span of control. We yesterday talked about span of control means the area that is managed by a person. So look, there are three managers, and two employees are managed by them. So tasks grouped by functional departments, and decision making will follow the chain of command. Uh, More information about bureaucratic organization. It's a form of management that has a pyramidal a command structure, like a pyramid. هرم یک شکل داشته باشه. The bureaucratic organization is very organized with a high degree of formality. There is formalization, as earlier discussed, and the organization chart generally exists for every department. Look, if you see, for every department there is a structure, a strict command and control, because there is narrow span. Bureaucracies are meant to be orderly, fair, and efficient. These are the characteristics of bureaucratic organizations. There is rules and jobs. Responsibilities are written down and clearly stated. There is formalized, standardized, clear hierarchy of power is concentrated among few high-ranking managers. Appointments and promotions of officers are formal because these officers will be held accountable. They are responsible. Employees are hired based on their skills and knowledge, not because of favoritism or luck. Salaries are tied to a pay grade system. Every structure is defined, every rule and regulation is defined, and it's formal. Bureaucracies are unable or unwilling to adapt to changing conditions quickly. And one thing, that is micromanaging in the organization. Who holds the power in bureaucratic organization? Most of the C level executives, chief executive, chief executive officer, and chief finance officer, and many others are the people who are having the power. They are the people who are taking decisions, and they are people who are high-ranking executives controlling all the organizations. The bureaucratic structure is like this. As I said, it is just like pyramid. Have you heard the pyramid word? I think you have studied in management too. The One of the theories of management is pyramid style, self-actualization, the hierarchy needs. Pyramid in Pashto, and Dari we call it ihram. In Egypt, Misr, if you have heard, Pharaoh made such kind of ihrams and pyramids. One bureaucracies is dead nowadays. We know that formal organizations and standardized organization and the bureaucratic organization, our governmental organization are most of the time very bureaucratic. ما میگیم که بیروکراسی بسیار زیاده است. کتاب نویسی و کتاب رسانیدن و قلم کتابچه و این چیزا بسیار زیاد می باشد bureaucratic. So characteristics we earlier discussed, but there are specialization. Earlier in the definition we said there is formality, there is departmentalization, there is centralization, there is narrow span of control, and there is adherence to a chain of command. Why bureaucracies survive? Because of large size prevails. Environmental disorder can be largely managed. Standardization achieved through hiring people who have undergone extensive educational training, and the technology maintains the control. Next is the second type of structure that is metric structure. Metric structure is also the second type of organization structure. In metric structure, employees may report to more than one person, more than one boss. Lines of authority can go both up and sideways. For example, an employee may have to be responsible to a divisional manager for a marketing project and report to the marketing manager at the same time. So look, marketing and marketing project and marketing manager, two bosses at a one time. This type of structures offers lots of supervision. It can create conflicts between competing managers. Matrix structures typically assigns workers with two or more supervisors in the organization. Um, they often fail to enable managers to achieve their business strategies because of the inability to cope with increased information processing of demands, because they are going to be liable to uh, report to more than one person, and they will be having fed up of the job because they have to report to two. It's very difficult to report to one more than one person when there is a metric structure. So the metric structure is combines two forms of departmentalization. They can be functional and they can be product. Dual chain of command, because you are reporting to two bosses at a time. The advantages of the matrix structure is that it facilitates coordination and efficient allocation of specialists, while the disadvantages of uh, matrix structure is that there is possibility of confusion, because again I say that you are going to report to two people, you are responsible to two people at a time. uh, Everyone is fostering for power, and there is stress over that when you are going to report to two people at a time. So the metric structure is not a well and effective structure in some organizations. Look at the sample metric structure. Design engineer, manufacturing, contract administration, purchasing, accounting, and human resource. Look, this everyone is going to report to some or two or sometimes three. The alpha project will of course be going to report to human resources. The design group will uh, report to design engineering. The manufacturing will be also contract group and also manufacturing. So if you look at the uh, uh, structure, it's a very mixed structure, and who should there is no single person who is only liable to report to one person. So he or she is going to report to two or more than two people in the organization. This is called some metric structure. There are other structures available in the organization. That can be team structure, that can be mechanistic, organic structure. There can be um very much another that is now very common in virtual organization structure. So what is mechanistic versus organic structure? Mechanistic structure is describes the outcome of the functional structure. It's characterized by a top-down power hierarchy from top to down, with decision-making authority pushed up as high as practically possible. Uh, Many rules will exist to keep things running according to a predictable order. All the things are predictable, and they have to be pushed up according to that. People work together according to the functions. For example, salespeople work together on sales, and employees perform standardized narrow jobs. Uh, and this means that employee color with lines, becoming proficient and efficient at their jobs but exhibiting little creativity. They do not have striving for creativity. The structure inhibits initiative and produces followers. Most of the time, military uses the functional structure as do small businesses. So most of the time, military will do it. The mechanistic structure is rigid, while the organic is collaboration, both vertical and horizontal. Mechanistic structure has fixed duties, while organic is the opposite of that, and that is adaptable duties. Uh, Many rules in mechanistic, while few rules in organic style or structure. Formalized communication channels, while in organic you can use informal communication. Centralized decision authority in organic style function, or in organic structure we have decentralized decision authority. In mechanistic organization we have taller structures from top to down, as you see in the pyramid type of diagram, while in organic you can use flatter structures. So these can be the models of mechanistic organization. uh, Look, high specialization, high rigid departmentalization. If you see clear chain of command, every 4 or 5 employees have a manager, so there is a chain of command in it. Narrow spans of control, because only 5 people they are going to control. There is centralization, there is one person who is the decision maker, and there is a high formality. While in organic model, uh, if you see, there is cross-functional teams. Look, there is a cross-hierarchical teams. Anyone can come and control you. There is free flow of information. Everyone can give and take information, because it's a wide span of control. There is decentralization. There is no centralization. There is no manager who is going to control you, and there is low formalization, low formality. I also told you that there are other structures available in the organization. That is stream-based structure, or team structure, or boundaryless organization. A team structure divides employees into groups. These groups work on projects or come up with solutions to specific issues or problems. Usually, the team leader reports to management. This leader can be assigned by management, or maybe they are voted into the position by the team that uh, he or she is. The lines of accountability is going to run within the team for individuals, while teams themselves may be accountable to other teams and management. So this kind of structure is based on groups and teams. Boundaryless organization, boundary and less, from the uh, name you can understand that is not defined or limited by boundaries. Mahdud nadi, limit nadi tar sarhadun puri, they can be imposed by traditional structures. Some other information that we have in mechanistic and organic forms, that should be upper, but it came to the second. No matters. The feature is that in task definition in mechanistic is rigid and highly specialized, while in organic it's flexible and less specialized. The coordination and control in mechanistic is their rules and directives. They are imposed from the top level management, and organic there is mutual adjustment. There can be cultural control. Communication in mechanistic is mainly vertical, while in organic it can be both horizontal and vertical. Commitment and loyalty in mechanistic is immediate, superior, while in organic to the organization and its goals and values. Uh, Environmental context in uh, Mechanistic organization is stable with low technological uncertainty, while in organic it's dynamic, flexible, ambiguous, and high technological uncertainty. Uh, the next is the fifth type of organization structure is virtual organization. Uh, Today it's very common in our era that there is a virtuality and there is no physical presence of organizations. It's a small core organization that outsources its major businesses. It gives to other people the sources, and they are highly centralized with little or no departmentalization. They provide maximum flexibility while concentrating on what the organization does best. It reduces control over key parts in the organization. So these kind of structures can also be called network or modular organization. Typically, a small core organization that outsource major businesses functions. In structural terms, we say that the virtual organization is highly centralized with little or no departmentalization. Uh, Most of the time, we say that the prototype or the example of the virtual structure can be movie making or the Bollywood, Hollywood organizations. Movies were made by huge vertically integrated corporations in past eras. Uh, in the 21st century, people are taking the special person for one type of movie. هر څوک د خپل دغه لپاره چې دی اوټ سورسینګ کوي، یو فلم سړی جوړی نو هغه ځان سره ټول کرو یا ټول چې دی عمله ځان سره نشي ساتلی. هغه په مختلفو فلمونو کې مختلف عملې پکارېږي، خلک او سپیشلیټیز پکارېږي، چا نه کیمره واخلي، چا نه یو ایکسپرټیز واخلي، چا نه چې دی ځای په کرایه واخلي. نو دغه ورچوالټي ده دی چې دی خپله دا شی نه لري خو دی ورچوالي دی اخلي. This is called virtual organization. Uh, most of the time, a virtual organization or IT based organization, IT has made it possible for an individual to work for an organization and live everywhere. It's called also network organization, and managers in a virtual environment monitor results, not progress. Because he's virtual, then only results are monitored, but not progress is there. What is the progress? Progress can also be tracked, but not mostly. Forms are electronic, that can be technological, that supports through a web interface. Businesses processes are designed differently. The next is boundaryless organization. Boundaryless organization it is an organization that seeks to eliminate the chain of command. It demolishes the chain of command, ignores the chain of command, and they have limitless span of control, no limit for span of control, and replaces department with empowered teams. They are also called empowered teams. It eliminates vertical high, or what we call it hierarchical, and horizontal can be departmental. Internal boundaries. It breaks down the external barriers to customers and suppliers. Functional departments create horizontal boundaries, and these boundaries stifle the interaction between functions, their product lines, and the units that organization have. The way to reduce these barriers is to replace functional departments with cross-functional teams, and to organize activities around the processes. So Authority, the power that is vested in a manager to make decisions and use resources to achieve organization goals by virtue of his position in organization. This is called authority. The hierarchy of authority is the organization chain of command specifying the relative authority of each manager. Span of control means the number of subordinates who report directly to manager. We talked about it. So line manager is someone who is in the direct line or chain of command, uh, who has formal authority over people and resources, while staff manager is the managers who are functional area specialists that give advices to the line managers. And decentralizing authority means that giving lower level managers and non-managerial employees the right to make important decisions about how to use organizational resources. So this is called decentralizing authority. The hierarchy of authority and span of control of McDonald's. There is an example. Jim Skinner is the CEO, Jeff Stratton is the executive vice president, Matthew Paul is the CFO, uh, chief financing officer, and Mike Roberts is president and chief COO officer, American McDonald's. Then Jeff Stratton has three, uh, that is McDonald's Europe geographically, that is separated, departmentalized, McDonald's Latin America, then McDonald's Asia Pacific. He's the senior of them. Uh, Next is Mike Robert, who has executive vice executive president, and he has three line managers, zone managers, and zone manager. Then we have staff managers, regional managers, and for everyone, then marketing managers, operations manager, and regional human resource managers. uh, Organization design and employee behavior, work specialization uh, contributes to higher employee productivity in the organization, but of course it will uh, reduce the job satisfaction. The benefits of specialization uh, have decreased rapidly these days, and the effective span of control on employee performance is consistent upon individual differences in abilities, task structures, and other organizational factors. Uh, Not everyone prefers the freedom and flexibility of organic structures. Some people are most productive and satisfied when work activities are standardized and there is ambiguity, minimized ambiguity in mechanistic structures. So, any discussion of the effect of organizational design on employee behavior has to address individual differences. Uh, to illustrate the point deeply, we say that employee preferences for work specialization and span of control and centralization are the most influencing part in the organization. The evidence generally indicates that work specialization contributes to higher employee productivity, but the price of reduced job satisfaction is, as earlier said, that it reduces the job satisfaction. Uh, Problems start to surface and productivity begins to suffer when the human diseconomies of doing repetitive, repeating activities and narrow tasks overtake the economies of specialization. Uh, a, a review of research I studied earlier before the lecture, that it indicated that it's probably safe to say there is no evidence to support a relationship between span of control and employee performance, although it is intuitively attractive to argue large spans of let me plug the uh, charger because there is less charge in it. It will off in the Okay, so we studied earlier that uh, there is some evidence indicating that a manager's job is a job satisfaction that will increase as the number of employees he or she is supervising. Uh, the structure of employees play a powerful role in determining how members relate to the organization. The structure of an organization can either provide members with a great deal of independence in how they perform their tasks, or constrain them by limiting and controlling their behavior. For example, people who are members of organization that have high levels of formalization and specialization do not vary their behaviors nearly as much as people who are uh, members of that organization with low levels of formalization and wide span of control. So members of these types of organization have much greater freedom in how they perform their task. Uh, the research findings have shown that work specialization contributes to higher employee productivity, but it will reduce the job satisfaction. In a nutshell, we say the benefits of specialization have decreased rapidly as employees seek more intrinsically rewarding jobs, and the effect of span of control on employee performance is also contingent upon individual differences and abilities, the task, the structures, and other organizational factors. Now, participative decision making in decentralized organization is positively related to job satisfaction. We earlier said that participative uh, decision making is very much important, and everyone is going to have do it, because decentralized organization today is very much common, just like Facebook, just like Steve Jobs, and other organization, multinational companies use uh, decentralized type of organization structure, which is having creativity, which brings creativity to the organization, and also it gives them a very high job satisfaction on the job. So this was all about types of organization and the hierarchy, and also the structures and the behavior that will affecting the groups and individuals. Thank you very much for your attention. If you've got any questions, suggestions, so comment on the video or WhatsApp me. You can also uh, write to me on WhatsApp, you can write to me on email, and also you can comment in the LMS of Salam University. Thank you very much. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture, and see you soon, inshallah, in the upcoming lecture. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.